There were some bruises along the way, but all that matters, the Warriors get the win over the woeful Hornets, and the Warriors are all alone in 6th place in the Western Conference standings. Let's break it down. Kylan Mills on the show.
Who cares now? Because I'm here, and I would like to think that I am wanted here.
Most importantly, he a dog.
We got 4 championships.
You are Locked On Warriors.
I know Jimmy drinks great wine.
Your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Speculation is just what it is, man.
Your team every day.
Not a thing of beauty by any means, but when the final score reads 119-101 in favor of the Golden State Warriors, you give a little golf clap, you take the W, and you look at yourself in 6th place in the standings. This is Locked On Warriors. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. We do have a free daily newsletter, all the NBA action, a link to this show, and words from myself, plus news, notes, and nuggets around the NBA sent right to your email, lockedondaily.com. That is lockedondaily.com. Check out the show on YouTube, like, subscribe, and then wherever you get your audio podcast. Joining me on the show today, look who it is. It's Kylan Mills. You've seen her on NBC Sports Bay Area, on Cron 4, the Big Ten Network, play-by-play for Stanford, many collegiate basketball teams, UC Davis. She's all over the place. She's also upstairs right now. What's going on, Kylan? How we doing?
Doing great, Chuck. Glad to see the Warriors get a dub, a bounce back from that tough 76ers game. And let's face it, Jimmy Buckets is the difference for this Golden State Warriors team. They're 8-1 now since they traded for him, and they're now in 6th and possibly out of the play-in for the postseason. So this is really exciting. And you know what? I was a little bit skeptical when he first came, but Jimmy Buckets is playing hard, and he brings something the Warriors don't have. So it's fun to watch.
Yeah, and what he brought tonight was when it was close, late in the game, Hornets are hanging around the non-Steph Curry minutes. Wasn't the main catalyst, but did get to the free throw line and scored the majority of his 13 points late. But he was one of the sideshows in the game today compared to who led the way for the Golden State Warriors. The man who led the way was Buddy Hield. 22 points, the secret sauce as we know it. In fact, we have 2 secret sauces. It's like I've been telling Kolsky this, we have a little tangy barbecue on this side and a little Thousand Island over here. And that's the Buddy sauce, because they are now 12-1 when Buddy Hield scores more than 18 in a game. Again, he goes for 22. The other one is the 30 assists, and the Warriors actually lost to the Sixers after hitting that number. So it's not too secret anymore. Secret's out, but the Warriors do get the win, now alone in the 6th seed, 33-28. 3 double-doubles in the game. Curry had 21 points and 10 assists. Draymond Green had 16 points and 13 assists. And then I thought Podziemski was really good with 19 and 10. Buddy had the 5 threes, and let's pick it up there because there was a clear moment where this game really shifted to me. It was a stretch in the third where each team kind of threw some punches, and I thought whoever came out of this tussle, this stretch, without 2 black guys was going to win the game, and it was the Warriors. So first of all, Steve Kerr's pissed. He wanted to travel, didn't get it. He gets the technical. All of a sudden, the Warriors go on a 10-1 run. Right then and there, they kind of take control a little bit, but the story of the first half and some of the third quarter was whenever the Warriors punched, the Hornets would get off the mat, they'd strike right back. So then there's a Draymond Green flagrant foul after a 3-pointer was hit by Ball, and it's a 7-point possession in 7 seconds. Hornets storm right back. It's a 4-point game, and that's where Buddy Hield bangs in 2 threes in a row, one off a hustle play from Draymond Green. And from there, I thought it was kind of Jimmy hit a 3 in that stretch too, just his second with the Warriors. And from there, I thought the Warriors really coasted. That was the stretch to me that defined it. And it started with defense, I thought.
That was going to be my exact point, Chuck, was that the defensive intensity ramped up. And that's the thing. Teams are going to go on runs. That's fine. But I thought the Warriors were able to maintain their defense throughout this game, which was a big improvement. I think that we saw definitely some lulls at times against the 76ers. The game prior to that as well, I think they were shaky in the first half defensively against, who did they play before the 76ers again? It was a team that was not good, that they should not have conceded as many points against. And I'm blanking on what it was. The Magic. Yeah, they gave up 66 first half points against the Orlando Magic.
In their defense, Banchero was shooting it like he was, prime Salim Stoudemire. So
fair, but I just think this was a little bit better defensive performance, and they were able to slow down that run in the third quarter, and then it was timely shots. The Warriors took a little bit of time to get it going from beyond the arc, but you already said it. Buddy Hield can be the difference maker as well, in addition to Jimmy Butler, because here's the thing. You know that Steph is going to impact the game, whether he's scoring, whether he's drawing defenders, whether he's spacing the floor, whether he's facilitating, but who around him is going to step up? And that is why, to me, it was so obvious against the 76ers that the Warriors were missing Jimmy Butler, because they need that consistent secondary scorer that Buddy Hield has not been. Now, bringing him in light of Klay Thompson moving on, I don't know that it was expected that he would be the secondary scorer. You had Andrew Wiggins in the mix prior to the trade, but that was the issue. There was not someone who was reliably that guy, and Jimmy Butler is that guy. But then when you also have Buddy Hield as an option, and the games where he does get hot, suddenly this team goes to another level offensively. 19 or more points from Buddy Hield. The Warriors are 10-0. I know you brought up 18 points, but 19 points is really the magic number. They have never lost.
So we found the real secret sauce. It's not the tangy
the real
barbecue.
secret sauce is 19 points from Buddy Hield. I do think it is positive to see him find his shot after a couple of really poor shooting games. Hield against the 76ers was 0 of 6 from beyond the arc, 3 of 9 from the floor, 1 of 5 from the field against the Magic. He had a better performance the last time the Warriors played the Hornets. I believe it was 15, 16 points. But again, he hasn't been consistent. Looking at some of his production, 16 against the Hornets, 3 against the Mavs, 22 against the Kings, 2 against the Rockets, 3 the team. It's too many hot shooting nights from Buddy Hield.
It's feast or famine, and he started off the year playing like an all-star. It was like 8 straight games where he was just unconscious, and then he hit a slump like he'd never seen in his career in terms of shooting. Because, I mean, Buddy, the overall player, like, he's got holes in his game. There's no doubt about that. But when it comes to shooting, like, that's the one thing he's very, very consistent at. Now, the people that watched Buddy Hield very closely, I'm talking Kings fans, I'm talking, Sixers fans, I'm talking whoever it may be, Pacers fans, they knew this was part of his game. Like, he is notoriously a streaky shooter, streakier than most. When he's hot, he's hot. When he's cold, he's cold. So it's kind of what you have to live with.
Same way, especially after the injuries.
Yeah, so I mean, that's just kind of what you have to deal with when it comes to Buddy. The good news is you have other guys on the team that can knock down threes sometimes, and today it was the second half, because the first half the Warriors were shooting it in the 20s. They finished the game 36% from 3, 18 of 50. They started picking it up, specifically Pods, finishes 4 of 11 after a tough start shooting the ball. Quinten Post, that stroke, and this is not even hyperbole. Has there ever been a 7-footer with a prettier stroke? I'm not talking in terms of someone that, just the percentages alone. I'm talking form and everything. Like, it's quick release. It's a high point. It's beautiful, Kylan. The shot doctor would have tears in his eyes.
I'm rolling my eyes because you know how I feel about that phrasing. Lauri Markkanen is a 7-footer who can stroke it from 3. So that's something to keep in mind in terms of the actual true shooting form. I mean, I don't know. It's up in the air. I'd have to study both of their mechanics. But I love Quinten Post, and I can't talk enough about the Warriors rookie. We didn't see a ton of him in this game, or at least we didn't see a ton of production from him. 6 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, but I still just think he provides a nice spark off the bench. The stretch 5 the Warriors have desperately wanted and needed. And I just think post All-Star break, he's been playing really, really well. He did go 2 of 3 from beyond the arc in this game, showing that he can hit that deep ball as he continues to do. If you are defending him at the 5, you cannot sag off him and leave him beyond the arc. That forces a defender out from under the basket, or it leaves Quinten Post with a wide open 3. And you know what? We'll take it. He's a good 3-point shooter, a 40% shooter from beyond the arc. So you love to see it in the Warriors system. That's absolutely beneficial. They're always looking for floor spacers, and Quinten Post has been that. I'm not surprised after watching him play in college. Coming into the draft, I did a lot of studying and worked our Locked On podcast network draft show where I was looking at a lot of the prospects. And I actually really liked Quinten Post when he was drafted by the Warriors as a fit for that reason. I do think that he's been impressive, though, as a rookie, just in terms of having composure, decision-making. I think that he's fit in nicely, especially post All-Star break. He's looked pretty mature, I will say, just in his play on the floor. Now, with rookies and young players in general, I think the defensive side of the ball is always what takes a little bit longer to adjust.
Been good. He's been good.
But I was going to say, he had that one contest where he went straight up. Was it in the second quarter? Where I looked at you and I was like, Quinten Post, that was a great play. So there's tons of potential. I love what we've seen from Quinten Post in flashes, and I would love to see the Warriors continue to develop him and see what comes of it.
All right, it was a painful win. Multiple Warriors had to either exit the game and not return, exit the game and return, or just hobble down the floor. Let's get into the painful win that was, but the final score is an 18-point victory. Easy work for Golden State when it's all said and done.
And most importantly, he a dog.
We need more dogs.
All right, today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at DoorDash. And NBA fans, get ready because when they swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. It's simple. Let's say Curry does another one after 56 against the Magic. The next day, Dash Pass members will get 50% off an order, up to $10 off. That's from noon to midnight. Here are a few ways you could take advantage of the deal. You could get a feast. You can have the late night cravings. You can take lunch on the go, or you can invite friends over for a big game and fuel your watch party. So sign up for Dash Pass and get ready to save when any player scores 50 or more in a game. Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. Let's get back to the show.
Destroy Jimmy and Domino's. I know Jimmy drinks great wine.
All right, so in the game today, the scariest thing you will ever see as a Warriors fan on March 3rd, and that is Steph Curry in some serious pain at one point in the game. Unfortunately, or fortunately, very fortunately, nothing unfortunate about it. Fortunately, he ties up the laces, gets a little adrenaline, stretches it out, runs it out, and he seemed good to go for the rest of the game. I thought he was going to, honestly, I thought Curry was going to have a seat on the bench the entire fourth quarter. I think the Warriors were up by 16, and I said, he's going to get the entire fourth quarter of rest. This is huge. Hornets cut it down to 12. Curry's back in there to finish out the game, but they really didn't need him too much. Brandon Pajemski went straight to the locker room. I was actually on I think I was walking the dogs, actually, at halftime, and it bled into Kuba and Benny were getting a nice frolic, and I missed the first 2 minutes because I forgot to bring my phone. That's not a smart move on a walk at night. Anyways, I digress. Missed about 2 minutes, and you saw Pajemski go to the locker room in that moment. You're like, I think Pods may have gotten seriously hurt. It wasn't that serious. He came back and played in the game. Gary Payton, the only one that had to exit and did not return, got banged up. Some blood on the play. So we'll see. I've been looking on all the forms of social media if there are any updates. Nothing as of now. Still being evaluated. It does look like it is a nose injury. So we may be seeing Gary Payton in a mask. Aside from that, you get out of the game healthy. You get out of the game with a win. But it was a painful one to watch at times when these shots were not falling, to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, the thing that I still want to talk about, Chuck, great news that it does not appear that there's any serious injuries. I do want to hear from Steph Curry after the game because it's never good to tweak an ankle. As soon as you roll it, it's just a little bit weaker. You've really got to keep an eye on those types of things because when you roll it once, you're more vulnerable to rolling it again. And, over the course of a career, those ankle tendons just get loose. They get weaker. You got to keep up with it. Steph has suffered a number of rolled ankles over the course of his career and sprains. So certainly that's something to keep an eye on. What I will say is Jimmy Butler has changed the complexion of this team, and that's something I really want to emphasize. Someone mentioned in the comments that the Warriors, I said, are 8-1. They are. They're 8-1 in games that Jimmy's played in. They're 8-2 because he did not play against the 76ers. So 8-2 is their overall record since trading for Jimmy Butler. 8-1 in games that he has played in. And one of the things you look at is the Warriors' ability to get to the free throw line. Prior to trading for Jimmy Butler, the Dubs were 27th in the NBA in free throw attempts. Since trading for Jimmy Butler coming into this game, they were 8th in the NBA, averaging 24 free throw attempts per game. Guess how many they had today, Chuck? 24. 6 of 6 from the line for Jimmy. The Warriors' free throw shooting percentage also has jumped up significantly. Jimmy buckets, a really good free throw shooter. So in addition to knocking down the three ball, the Warriors now have an added weapon in that you can put you can put the ball into the basket. You can add points on the board while the clock is stopped from the free throw line. And they don't have that. Like, I don't think they have someone, or they didn't have someone, certainly, and I don't think they've had someone for a long time who's as good at attacking the basket and playing through contact and drawing contact as Jimmy Butler is. Like, he does not shy away from traffic in the paint, and the Warriors have been missing that. They don't have bigs who can score on the inside in Kevon Looney and Draymond Green, and even Quinten Post as he's been getting more time. You like him because of his ability as a stretch big, not necessarily a dominant post player who's finishing with his back to the basket or even on the drive. Although I do think he has potential to be a good finisher around the rim. Again, he's still a rookie. So Jimmy just adds that different layer in terms of a player who can score inside the paint, who can attack the basket on the bounce, and then who can play through contact and draw fouls, get a lot of opportunities at the free throw line. So that was something that stood out to me in this game, was just the Warriors continuing to get those opportunities at the line and then capitalize on them. Because on nights where the three ball isn't falling, attack the basket. And I just think we've seen so many times throughout not just this season, the last couple seasons, when the Warriors live and die by the three, their offense is too one-dimensional and they can't manufacture other ways to score because, like I said, they don't have scoring, or at least strong scoring posts. And Jimmy Butler just changes all of that, in addition to being someone who can help put points on the board in the non-Steph minutes, which was critical in this game as well tonight. So I just feel like, for me, the other big headline, Chuck, in addition to good defense, getting some shots to fall, important win at a critical time, is just the fact that Jimmy Butler has changed the complexion of this team. And we've seen it every single game that he's been a part of.
Yeah, I mean, 8-1 since the trade with Jimmy Butler on the floor, 0-1 the Sixers game being the only loss. And I thought it's a little tentative at times, still not looking for a shot as much as he potentially will and could. But a lot of those times that he's looking for others to make a play, he's getting assists on the plays. Anyways, Kylan, want to get into the final little stages with you here before you run off to a soccer game, because I know you got to get some exercise tonight. I'll be running the final block by myself. I did want to mention Pajimski. Shout out. He had some awesome tips in the game. He was all over the place in terms of getting rebounds. And then Draymond Green. He's someone that attacked the basket. Unfortunately, that floater and those 3-footers, he just is he's like 20% within 3 feet of the basket, I swear. But he had 16, 13, and 6, so you're not going to complain. Women's empowerment game over the weekend. You are on the broadcast. Tell everyone where they can see you, from Locked On Warriors to the bright lights.
Yes, everybody. So just a heads up, Saturday's game against Detroit is going to be a women's empowerment broadcast. There is going to be an all-female broadcast crew on NBC Sports Bay Area and California. I am going to be a part of it. I'll be on the pre and post game show alongside Carrick Berth and Zena Keita, 2 awesome women who I love working with. We're going to have some leaders from the Golden State Valkyries on as special guests. We do have a couple other folks who will be involved in Dubs Talk Live, but really would love for you to join us on that broadcast on Saturday. It is going to be awesome. I'm super excited to be a part of it. I do want to touch on your point, though, before I go about Jimmy Butler. I still don't know that we've seen the best of him. And you're right. I think there are still times where Jimmy could be even more aggressive in attacking. I think he finished tonight with 13 points, but just his presence and that different type of offense that he brings, I still just think changes the Warriors, even when he's not at his best. And I still think the best is yet to come. We have not seen and are not seeing like a Jimmy takeover game. You know, we've had some 20-point performances, but we still haven't seen, to me, like a Jimmy going off game. And I still think that's there. I just feel really, really positive and encouraged with him on this team. I do think that there is a lot to be excited about as the Warriors approach this final stretch. Tough games ahead, though. I do got to bounce before we get to the final segment. But, you know, the New York Knicks is going to be a really tough test. The Dubs are in a little bit of a tough stretch here as you look ahead to the next couple of games, facing a couple of teams that are among the top 5 in their respective conferences. So, I just think that this is going to be a little bit more difficult. You've got the Knicks twice in the next week and a half. Also coming up next week, they've got the Denver Nuggets and the Milwaukee Bucks. So that was something I was referring to there, is all three of those teams are in the top four of their respective conferences. So those are going to be a little bit of tougher games. You've got the Sacramento Kings coming up after the Detroit Pistons. You've got Portland Kings, and the Kings are obviously another team fighting for a play-in spot or a playoff spot. So I do think that they're going to really have to lock in during this upcoming stretch. That is my final point. The Knicks game is going to be tough, and have a great rest of the show.
No handballs. See you, Kylan. Coming up, let's talk Jonathan Kuminga, an update on when we could be seeing him return to the floor. This is Locked On Warriors.
Forget that. We champs. Why you starting with that question? We got 4 championships.
Running a small business means you are wearing a lot of hats, and your personal phone becomes your business phone. Before you know it, you're juggling customer calls all day and night. As your team grows, it becomes impossible to manage everything with just your personal number. That's where OpenPhone comes in. It's the #1 business phone system designed to help you keep your work and your personal life separate. For just $15 a month, the cost of a few lattes, you get complete transparency and visibility into everything happening with your business phone number. OpenPhone works through an app on your phone or your computer and integrates with tools like HubSpot and hundreds of others. It also uses AI-powered call transcripts and summaries, so you'll have a rundown of your calls and action items the second you hang up. And if you miss a call, no problem. Automated messages are sent directly to your customer, ensuring you never miss an opportunity to engage. Right now, OpenPhone is offering 20% off your first 6 months. That's when you go to openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That is openphone.com/LockedOnNBA for 20% off 6 months. Openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no additional charge. Let's get back to it.
Who can stop Steph Curry?
Hopefully we'll never find out.
All right, so Warriors heading to the Big Apple, a little Brooklyn, a little Manhattan. Yeah, Manhattan. Madison Square Garden and a little Barclays over the next 2. And it sounds like the Warriors may not be with Jonathan Kuminga. We thought maybe tonight, middle of the road trip, was going to be his target date. Sounds like per Shams, the Warriors targeting Saturday's home game, the one that Kylan's working, against the Detroit Pistons as Kuminga's return date. Okay. So when Jonathan Kuminga gets back, you add another scorer to the fold, and it tweaks the rotation a little bit. But for the most part, Steve Kerr has not been nearly as deep with it as he's been going parts of the time this year, up to 12, 13 guys. It's been more 9, 10 as of late. Once again, Trace Jackson Davis, nowhere to be found. He gets 2 minutes in slop time late. Same with Pat Spencer. Same with Kevin Knox. And then we'll have to see what Gary Payton's status is moving forward. But as of right now, Kuminga coming back, Warriors about to be as healthy as they've been all season long. Not many complaints there. And overall in the game today, it wasn't a thing of beauty, especially when it came to knocking down open shots. First half, it felt like the Warriors were getting tons of good looks. They just could not bury anything. Aside from that, though, they dominate the rebounding statistic. They have 32 assists in the game compared to only 8 turnovers. They turn the Hornets over 17 times. Now, the disclaimer here, how do I put this nicely? The Hornets suck. With all due respect, that team is terrible. Charlotte, great city. The Queen City, wonderful place. Basketball team, basura. I mean, Miles Bridges, 35 points in the game. LaMelo Ball, 25 points. Those are some real basketball players. Mark Williams is a physical presence down low. No pun intended with the physical. And then aside from that, I mean, their roster, Josh Green, Nick Smith, Nurkic, Malachi Flynn, Seth Curry, Jeffries, Wendell Moore Jr. didn't play. I know they got Brandon Miller not playing right now, but overall, you go up and down the roster, and there's a reason why they're 14-46. Not a good basketball team, but hey, we've seen that they can win some games, taking down the Lakers a couple weeks ago, and just the fact that the Warriors sweep the Hornets on the season, and they do it with ease. I mean, a 20-something point win, and today an 18-point win. Didn't look pretty at times. It was, a 4-point game. late in the third quarter, but when it was all said and done, there was really never any sweating in this one. When it came to the spread, for those of you that are spread hunters, riding through the safari looking for an easy win, you got an easy win today. Keep some of those points, Vegas. 12.5 was the spread that hits, and then the over-under was 229 in the game. So I hope you did not take the over. So that's a win for the Warriors. Again, coming up next is the New York Knicks. That is on the 4th, which is Tuesday. So I'll see you tomorrow night or Tuesday if you're listening to this audio podcast in the morning. You can join the show on YouTube or wherever you get your audio podcast. Final thoughts I had from the game today. Kylan was very adamant on the addition of Jimmy Butler and what he provides as a second scorer. Biting my tongue a little bit, but first 6, he had 25, 21, 19, 20, 17, and 18. Do the math in my head there. That's like 18 a game. The last 3, he scored 6, 5, and tonight 13. But some of those points late, he's going to have to put the ball in the basket a little bit more, although at the same time, Kuminga returns. You have another guy that can give you 15 to 20 as long as Butler's setting up others. And once again, he was doing that in the game today. Final assist numbers, I'm going into this blind. I'm going to look down. It's going to be like 2. But he had 4 assists in the game today. So that's something that you can always count on from Jimmy Butler is he's going to, whatever position he's in, on the block, high post, facing the basket 25 feet away, he's gonna operate on offense, and he's gonna make the smart decisions, whether it's attacking or whether it's finding someone else to do the attacking. But just 3 of 7 in the game today. You have to imagine that those numbers are going to be going up come playoff time, assuming you get there. But again, as of right now, the Warriors a half a game above the LA Clippers in the playoffs. If the season were to end today, a lot of basketball to go, but once again, Warriors only getting healthier with Kuminga set to return. Final numbers, Draymond had 16, Butler 13, 21 for Steph Curry. I don't even know if we mentioned Curry's name the entire show. He goes for 21 and 10. That's back-to-back games with double-digit assists, a double-double. Curry's been playing awesome basketball. 5 for Moody, 19 for Podziemski, 19 and 10, I should say, for Podziemski. 4 for Kevon Looney, 2 for Kevin Knox, 6 for Quinten Post, 22 for Buddy Hield, 9 for Gary Payton, and Pat Spencer had a deuce late to give the Dubs a very, very comfortable win. All right, we got, I think, Hudson Klauke, who was on some of the early shows when the Warriors were rolling. He's going to join me post Knicks, and then Kolsky's going to join me post Nets. I got some other splendid characters in the rotation that we'll have later this week. But first things first, take a big gold bite out of the Big Apple, win some games in New York, and continue to climb up in the standings. 6 is where you want to be. 6 is where you want to be, especially if it involves avoiding the Lakers. That is an ideal situation and a subplot to this playoff chase. Regardless of the seeding you get, you want to find a scenario where you do avoid that spot. And as of right now, the Lakers are in the 2 seed. They've climbed all the way up to the 2 seed, like that. They were cooked at Christmas, and now they're the 2 seed. One of the hottest teams in basketball, 8-2 in their last 10. They've won 6 in a row with Luka. And they are above the Denver Nuggets for that 2 seed. So, again, the 5 at this point would not be that bad. You'd be getting the Rockets or the Grizzlies. But the 6 getting the Nuggets first round, that's not the worst thing in the world either. At the end of the day, you want to just get in. You want to just get in. You saw the reporter ask Steve Kerr. Apparently, it's a running bit, although I don't think it's a bit. I think it's dead serious. But he asked Steve Kerr every year about the finals and how his rotation will look in the finals. And Kerr actually was kind of irked. He was like, stop asking that question, damn it. We're just trying to get in the playoffs. Gave it a little Jim Mora. So, all right, that's a show. Have a great rest of your day. Whether it's early in the day, late in the day, hit that like and subscribe. We very much appreciate it. This is Locked On Warriors. Thanks to Kylan Mills for coming on the program. Peace, everyone. Dubs get the victory.